Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. So there are still some free spaces around the table. So I invite you to move in front if you want to join us in this discussion. So welcome to this World Food Forum side event. And I also wanted to start by flagging that we have interpretation services in English, Spanish, and French. So you can use the headphones in the room or select your channel on Zoom, because this side event is hybrid for the online participants. So my name is Amélie Ste from the Agroecology Coalition, which was created in 2021 and gathers now more than 300 members with the aim of transforming the food system through agroecology. So this side event will focus on the role of youth in the agroecological transformation. So we will hear some insights from the different youth network from all over the world. And so this event is co-organized by the Agroecology Coalition, the Agroecology Youth Europe Youth Network, and YPARD, the Young Professionals in Agriculture and Rural Development. So today's young generation is the largest in history. Indeed, about 16% of the global population consists of young people, with over 80% living in developing nations. Around 80% of rural youth are engaged in food production, either formally or informally. However, young people frequently experience the greatest level of food and nutritional insecurity in numerous societies. They often face low or unpaid wages, marginalization, and exploitative labor conditions. Consequently, youth today confront a precarious and uncertain future, partly due to the current food systems. But the agricultural sector provides a wide spectrum of opportunities for the employment of young people across the globe. Engaging youth in successful agribusinesses based on agroecological principles offers a comprehensive solution that promotes the sustainability of food system, youth employment, and socio-economic transformation. Through this event, we want to spotlight the central role of youth in promoting agroecology and showcase the innovative contribution of young individuals and groups, inspiring others to join the movement. But before starting, I would like to scan a bit who is in the room and your knowledge about agroecology. So if you are already familiar with agroecology, I invite you to raise your hand. Great, not so bad, so around half of you. Sorry, can I have the slide, please? Great. Okay, so in a nutshell, you can see on this infographic that agroecology is based on 13 principles and 10 elements. So I invite you to have a look at this infographic published on the Agroecology Coalition website, because it is interactive. So if you shuffle around the principle, you can read the definition, but also the concrete agroecological practices and also some features case studies. So in a nutshell, agroecology is a holistic approach to agriculture, which takes into account the ecological, social, economic, but also political dimension of producing food to build sustainable and resilient food systems that ensure food security and nutrition. Among its principles, participation stands out, advocating for increased involvement in decision-making by food producers and consumers. This encourages decentralized governance and local adaptive management of agricultural and food systems, with youth playing a pivotal role. For instance, young people bring added value in farmer-to-farmer exchange thanks to their knowledge of both traditional and technological methods, contributing therefore to co-creation of knowledge. So now let me welcome our panelists for today's event. So first we have Nicole Cecchinato, a member of the Agroecology Europe Youth Network. Then we have Edoardo Corriere, the Global Program Coordinator at YPARD. And we also have here Judy Kimplanda from the UN Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. And then we also have 3 speakers online. So first, Ngaakudzwe Chifamba, the Deputy Director and Head of Research and Project of the Young Volunteers Zimbabwe. And Karina Gonzalez David, an organic producer from Brazil, who is also the co-founder of Pronobis Agroforestal and the co-director of the Brazilian Organic Institute. Sorry, I don't manage to move the slide again. Okay, thanks a lot. And finally, we also have Deep Yondi Sonu Brahma, the co-founder of the Farm to Food Foundation and representative of Commutini, the youth collective based in India. So we will first start with a roundtable discussion, and then we will open the floor for questions, both in person, but also online to online participants. So if you have any questions to panelists, you can ask them in the chat. So I would like to first start with you, Judy. If you can explain what activities do you run with the UN Global Indigenous Youth Caucus, but also what are the challenges that you face in advancing youth priorities, in promoting agroecology, and how are you trying to address this? And also maybe what is your key call to governments, to donors, and to policymakers for advancing agroecology? Thanks.
Thank you so much, Amalie. Thank you everyone for having me here last minute. I saw this side event and I thought it was important to also bring in the voices of indigenous young people, and especially those who are involved in agroecology like myself. So my name is Judy Kipkenda. I come from Kenya. I'm the co-chair of the United Nations Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. The caucus is made up of indigenous youths from all over the globe, drawn from both the community organizers, community activists, political activists, etc. We've come together to advance the issues and rights of issues and rights of our indigenous communities from respective places that we come from. And amongst the things that we also advocate for is ensuring that our young people are engaged in sustainable food production systems, and just to make sure that we advocate for indigenous foods, indigenous foods, and to make sure that they thrive. And the reason we're doing that is because we believe that it's time to retract our steps and make sure that we are not just promoting food production, food security and food sovereignty, but we are doing what is right by us, our health, and for Mother Earth. Right away to the question, that's just in a nutshell. The challenges that we face, especially the young indigenous peoples of the world, and I believe it's something that cuts across to young people who comes from peasant communities. The biggest issue has been the systemic injustices, and I'll point the first one being the land tenure rights, insecurity. Like most of the young people do not own land, and when they do, if the community is on land, it belongs to the parents, and mostly young people are not entitled to these lands. But the main issue here is not even them being entitled. The issue is we come from communities who lack land tenure rights. The amount of injustices the young people are facing, fighting with the land rights question before dealing with the issue of producing food. So I feel like the land rights question hinders the young people, both from indigenous constituents and other peasant farmers communities. The land question hinders them from being able to produce food and being able to advance agroecology within their communities. The other issue is financing of their farming initiatives, or being able to have the financial muscles or capacity to be able to carry out agroecology activities. But also, I would like to point out the issue of lack of information, or just the way information is passed to young people. Young people are not really like the older generations who maybe grew up into the farming structures and all that. But the way there is need for us to structure the information on agroecology to the young generation to make sure that it is actually attractive, and let's incentivize agroecology. As a person who is actually actively working with youth groups to advance agroecology transitioning amongst my community, it's really hard for young people to relate if you just come with the theory part of it. But if you find a way to coin the message to make sure that the young people actually relate, use the language that the young people really understand, I think it will really work out. And my message to governments, partners, is invest in a lot of capacity building in young people, just to make sure that they fully understand the concept of agroecology, the principles and the good things about agroecology. Let's invest in information first, because if we want them to engage in it and they don't have the information, then there will be a serious disconnect. And that's why making agroecology like the main farming system will become hard. The young people's population is higher, and passing information is actually really important. The other thing I wanted to add is there are young people who are already actively engaging in agroecology. We could use them as models. Let's award them so that it will encourage the rest to take up these initiatives. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for sharing your insight, but also challenges on this matter. And we are really glad to have you here today.
I'm sorry, I just remembered one important thing which really made me come here. The issue of integrating the traditional indigenous knowledge into agroecology. Well, there's this notion out there that we all believe that agroecology is part of indigenous knowledge, which is, I'm not disputing, but there are so many other indigenous knowledge, for example, like weather forecasting systems, indigenous weather forecasting methods, indigenous selection of drought-resistant crops from within different communities who know what works well for them. Let's integrate traditional indigenous knowledge into agroecology. Thank you so much. And I apologize, I have to leave.
Okay, now let's me turn to you, Nicole. Yeah, you can also use this. So you are a member of the Agroecology Europe Youth Networks, and I know that you run several activities related to events, advocacy, and research. So can you tell us more about that, and how do you support youth?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. I'm really glad for this opportunity. So the Agroecology Europe Youth Network was created in 2018 inside of the Agroecology Europe Association, which is an association that tries to works towards the agroecological transition at the European level. And it now connects over 260 members all across Europe. Our main goal is to inspire and empower young people with agroecology to engage with agroecology by promoting a bottom-up approach and try to create strong connections of diverse young professionals. So we work through connecting young agroecologists with external partners or potential employers, while facilitating the dissemination of agroecological knowledge and practices at a broader scale. We engage in several activities. For example, we had several youth forums. The first one was in 2022, and that forum led to the creation of our manifesto. We collaborate with different partners like Slow Food, IFOAM, which is an international organization for organic agriculture. And with them, we organized the last forum in Bari, which was a really impactful event. And also another activity that we carry are the participatory workshops. We had 8 in the last 3 years, and we do them to create, let's say, local actions and connection with the communities. Furthermore, we had a mapping project, and we our members in the network used to be the mappers around Europe. So they went to the 11 countries that we map, and they interviewed the initiatives that then were reported in scientific reports. And last but not least, we were recently selected to be part of the CAP network thematic group for Gen Z, in which we will collaborate for leading towards a generational renewal, let's say, in farming systems. So basically, we try to focus on the idea that agroecology is a movement, a practice, and a science, and we try to maintain that concept inside of every type of action that we undertake.
Thank you, Nicole. And yeah, I've been to the last edition of the Youth Forum, and it was very inspiring to see all these young people gathering. So yeah, I invite you to have a look at the next edition in 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe let's move to YPARD. I know that you run a lot of global programs. So yeah, if you can tell us more about that, and especially maybe about the global program for small-scale agroecology producers.
Sure. Thank you very much, Emily. First of all, can you hear me? Yeah. First of all, I would like to start by thanking you very much for having me today. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I would also like to thank everybody who joined us for our session today. So, as you said, we have a lot of projects because YPARD, first of all, is a nonprofit organization by young professionals, for agricultural development. Being a global community, we are with worldwide chapters. We're present in more than 50 countries, and we work at different levels, and we have an extensive reach of approximately 32,000 young people. We have a wide range of initiatives that aim at empowering young professionals in the agriculture sector, and the GPCA project that Amelie just mentioned is a perfect example. So the global program for small-scale agroecology producers and the sustainable food systems transformation is a great project that focuses on supporting small-scale producers in Africa and Latin America transition towards agroecological practices that enhance and ensure resilience, sustainability, and resilience against climate change. One of the standout features of the project is YPARD engagement with the Agroecology Fellows, who are young professionals who receive training in agroecological methods, professional training, and represent a bridge between farmers and extension services. I don't know if you want to show the slide I've prepared on this, but just in a nutshell, this is one of the outstanding features. But YPARD is playing a key role in the project because it's focusing on the third component of the project and empowering 10,000 small-scale producers together with its partner organizations and implementing organizations like GFRAS, the Global Forum for Rural Advisory Services, and Access Agriculture. And we do that through capacity building, access to knowledge, but also peer-to-peer learning and farmer-to-farming joint learning sessions. In terms of education and capacity building, as you can see from the slide, it is worth mentioning the YPARD Global Cafe series and the YPARD Community Solution projects, which are two of our main initiatives. The cafes are monthly virtual and hybrid meetings during which young professionals engage with experts in sustainable food systems, but also go through capacity building training and sessions and hone their skills that help them grow both personally and professionally. For example, they focus on policy advocacy, on honing those skills, on honing grant writing and project management. So that's when it comes to the cafe series. The community solution project is a perfect example of how also YPARD is empowering local communities, because through our national chapters that engage with local communities on projects that tackle key challenges within the food systems. They empower these local communities through access to knowledge and capacity building, and promote resilience, promote agroecology, and of course, they help these communities implement and follow a socially responsible approach when it comes to agriculture and food production. If you want to show the next slide, Amelie, in terms of policy engagement, when it comes to policy engagement, the first thing that comes to my mind is the YPARD policy working groups, which is, again, a perfect opportunity for our members to engage and collaborate with policymakers and influence policy discussions, making sure that youth-led innovations and agroecological approaches are considered and taken into account when designing and developing agricultural policies. Last thing I would like to mention is also the CF First project, which is the Consortium Europe-Africa on Research and Innovation for Food Systems Transformation. It's an example of how YPARD is instrumental in advancing youth participation in major international projects, because this project aims at bridging research gap between Africa and Europe, and we are contributing to the development of the youth and gender strategies that will be included in the high-level policy dialogue. Of course, we're working with other key partners like CORAF and FARA. And this is another example, but in a nutshell, this just to say that, these programs, projects, and initiatives reflect our commitment to fostering personal and professional growth, but also making sure that youth are not only included, but are also leading efforts to transform food systems. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Edoardo, for sharing some concrete example of local activities on youth and capacity building. So let me now turn to the online speakers. So first, I would like to ask Ngaakudzwe, if you can tell us more about the youth volunteer in Zimbabwe, and also how do you manage to build capacities of your members, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Ngaakudzwe Chifamba. I'm the Deputy Director of Young Volunteers for the Environment Zimbabwe, which is a youth-led organization committed to advancing environmental sustainability and climate resilience in Zimbabwe. Our primary focus areas include agroecology, renewable energy, and waste management, with a strong emphasis on youth involvement and leadership. Through these activities, we aim to promote food security, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable development, especially in rural communities vulnerable to climate change impacts. Our agroecology activities, firstly, we have one which is centered on empowering youth for sustainable food systems. Agroecology, which is central to our efforts in tackling climate change, ensuring food security, empowering rural communities. Young Volunteers for the Environment Zimbabwe has pioneered several initiatives aimed at introducing sustainable farming practices, encouraging youth participation, and fostering resilience in the face of growing environmental challenges. So we have established agroecology demo plots in the Mashonaland West, which is an area in Zimbabwe, in the area called Kadoma. So the purpose of the demo plot serves as a practical learning center where youths and local farmers are trained in agroecological farming methods. So the activities, which includes training programs on organic farming, so regeneration, crop rotation, and water management techniques. Demonstrations of the use of indigenous seeds and plants to maintain biodiversity, and also hands-on workshops on composting, pest management without chemicals, and sustainable livestock integration. Youth engagement, we have around 2,000 youths. We have participated in hands-on training sessions, enhancing their agricultural skills and understanding of sustainable farming, which is quite a good milestone, as we have started in 2021, but now we have trained more than 2,000 youths. So the impact of the demo plots has not only increased food production, but also created a ripple effect, which trained youth becoming ambassadors of agroecology in their communities. So we also have what we call the climate caravans, where we raise awareness on agroecology and climate resilience. So the purpose of the climate caravans which is a nationwide campaign aimed at raising awareness on climate change and promoting agroecology as a solution to food security and environmental challenges. This includes traveling workshops and community meetings focused on sustainable farming practices, engaging local youth in discussion on agroecology, climate justice, and sustainable livelihoods. So the third thing we do, which is agroecology and climate resilience workshops, which we do all over Zimbabwe. So monthly, we make sure we have a workshop. So in Zimbabwe, we have 10 provinces. In those 10 provinces, every month, we do a workshop in each and every part of each province. So our capacity building workshops, these ones teach youths and smallholder farmers about agroecology as a strategy to restore degraded land and increased food security. Also promoting the use of climate resilient crops and indigenous farming knowledge as we focus more on small grains and other traditional seeds. So we have a program which we have started recently, that's 2 months ago, which we call the Green Drinks program, which encompasses the networking of youth on agroecology. So the purpose of this one, which is a one-day event, which brings together youth leaders, farmers, policymakers, and environmental activities for discussions and networking around agroecology, climate change, and sustainability. So there is always the panel discussions featuring experts and in the interactive of arts installation and music into this program. So this is what we are doing in Zimbabwe, and we're quite happy with the milestone we have currently in terms of capacity building. We're trying to push quite a lot in terms of all these activities. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, let maybe turn to you, Karina. So you are a young organic farmer from Brazil. Can you tell us more? How did you manage to create your own agroecological businesses there?
Sure. First of all, hello everyone. Thank you for this invitation to be here, and thank you to Agroecology Coalition to involve young people, young farmers at this high-level discussion that is so important. And I'm glad to be here. So I have some presentations. So if you can put the first slide, please. I will raise my voice. It's better now? Are you listening to me better? Okay, so I wasn't born in a farming family. I chose to become an organic farmer 10 years ago. So me and my husband, we had access to land. That's a good beginning. That's a good point to start. But we had a dream and a lot of will to act. And I'm here to prove that agroecology can be, and it is, a social economic tool of transformation. I'm part of Ecovida PGS network that I have no time to explain how Ecovida works and what it is. But the name explains a lot. So we are a network of farmers, organic farmers, and we are in the 3 states of the south of Brazil. We are more than 3,000 family farmers, and we can imagine that one family have more than one people. So we are much more than 3,000 people producing organic food and selling it to the city and take organic food to the cities. And it was through Ecovida PGS network that I was connected to agroecology. And agroecology gave me many opportunities and many ways to live this dream, that is living in a farm and have my money from the farm. I didn't want to go to the city to work and have my money, and I want to have this money from the farm. So we knew some couple of old people. They were part of Ecovida PGS network too. They were farmer, and they were working. You can stop this slide now, please. They were working in a street market with organic food, and they were old, and they need to stop this working, selling their production in that street market. So that moment, their children, that wasn't children, but their children didn't want to continue this work. So this couple of old family farming gave us, and they was part of Ecovida PGS with us, they give us the opportunity to continue this street market. And it was the beginning of Pronobis Agroflorestal. So as a young woman and organic farmer, together with my husband, we connected the knowledge from the city that we had with the ancestral and popular knowledge from the farmers. So with many learning and exchange with the farmers, we created Pronobis Agroflorestal. Pronobis means for us in Latin, for us humanity, for us planet, for us lives in general. So here at Pronobis Agroflorestal in the south of Brazil, we produce organic food, but we produce knowledge, and we share this knowledge. And at this picture, you can see that we receive people from the city, we receive children to share what we are doing, how we take care of nature, and we produce this food and we take this food to the city. There are more than 9 years that we are in this street market that I told you that couple gave passed to us. And you know, to sell organic food directly to the clients, direct to the consumer, it's more than just selling and buying food. We have the opportunity to take the message of agroecology to the city, and the people are open to listen it, you know, but the people are at the city, but they need and they want opportunity to listen from the farmers, to listen from the countryside. So people want to visit here, our farm, our place. They want to experience that, how it works, how the food grows, where the food comes from. They learn and they connect it to the nature. So you can pass the more pictures. We had some pictures in the beginning that show our farm when we arrived here. That wasn't nothing, a desert, and now we have planted agroforestry, many crops and many foods. We harvest tons of food, and we believe, we as Pronobis Agroflorestal, the powerful of the network of farmers and people in the city. I experienced that there are more than 10 years, and it is a tool of transformation. So we more than produce food and selling food, knowledge, share knowledge. We advocate for organic farmers, for organic agroecology, for organic and everything that it is included in agroecology movement. So we had the opportunity to talk in different space and to prove that it's possible to share knowledge and to live with agroecology.
Thank you, Karina. Thanks a lot. And now maybe the last speaker online, Deep. So from India, can you tell us more about the activities that you are doing with Mutiny, the youth collective, especially around education?
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you for the invitation to such a learned gathering. And it's really inspiring to hear all the beautiful and amazing stories coming from across the globe. So, technician, whoever is handling the screen, can you please show the slides?
Next slide, please.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So right now I'm representing two organizations. One is Farm to Food Foundation, which I am the co-founder. We started this in almost about 12 years back. And then the other organization is Community, the Youth Collective. And for Community, the Youth Collective, the goal is to create active citizens and also to ensure that every space nurtures active citizenship. And for Farm to Food Foundation, the goal is to create farm and food entrepreneurs for a prosperous and beautiful world. What we have been doing here is, the reason has been mentioned by Amelia in the beginning, and also by a couple of speakers in the very beginning, that we have a sizable number of young youth population, both in urban as well as in rural areas. But there is a crisis of good nutrition, crisis of viable economic engagement opportunities, and there is a crisis of climate. So all these crises are happening, and most of the time, what is happening is that young people are told that they should be doing this for the climate, they should be doing that for the environment, they should be doing ABCD actions for the social development, for the society's development. But instead of being told, Farm to Food and Community in the Youth Collective believes in creating an experiential journey for young people. We talked about, Amelia talked about, there should be space for viable economic engagement, there should be social engagement, there should be ecological engagement, and of course, the political space should also be there for young people to engage in. But we believe that along with all this, there should be space for the psychological engagement as well. Young people should get the space to experiment. Young people should get the space to engage with issues around him and her without being judged, without being labeled as, oh, you are a failure, oh, you are too new to this idea, this is a heavy concept that you cannot learn, you have to do double masters and PhD to understand what is agroecology. What we have been doing at Farm to Food is a very simple activity. We help school children set up their own school nutrition garden in school, and which is a very simple concept. And these nutrition gardens grows local vegetables using the local traditional know-how. Yeah. At the same time, there is a conversation around what they are growing, why they are growing, and how they are growing. Now, why they are growing, there is a conversation around nutrition, there is a conversation around climate, there is a conversation around the fact that we are sitting with the amazing resource, agroecological resource around us, but we are not being able to engage with it effectively. And what we have also done is all the activities in the school nutrition garden has been mapped to the school's science and mathematics curriculum. So what is happening is whatever activity our young people are doing in the garden is mapped back. Can we go back to the previous slide? So the activity is mapped to the, whatever activity they are doing is mapped to the school science and maths textbook. So therefore, the conversation is not just happening in the garden, but also inside the classroom. So there is a continuous engagement of the garden, of the agriculture, of the farming processes inside the classroom. Yeah, and the third component of this program is we encourage young people to supply these vegetables that they are growing to the school's midday meal schemes. We encourage young people to sell their organic products, like the compost, like the biomedicines, to the farmers outside. This way, young people get an opportunity to earn a very small amount of money right now. But for a 10-year-old to earn a small amount through an agri-entrepreneurship business, a big revelation. I think the previous speaker, Karina, if I'm not wrong, also mentioned about how economically viable her farm business is. So therefore, young people get an opportunity to engage in an agri-entrepreneurship. And then there is a huge realization that yes, agriculture has the potential to become economically viable. Can we move to the next slide?
Yes, can you please draw your conclusion,
Yeah.
because we are running a bit
Yes.
late.
Yeah. So what young people here in India have done is they have mapped the local food system, they have mapped the local dietary system, they have mapped the local indigenous agriculture techniques and processes, and have been sharing this with farmers across the country, also engaging with stakeholders, with the education department, with the agriculture department. Recently, about 20 young people from India had gone to Nepal, and they have co-created a South Asian network of youth for agroecology. Can we move to the next slide? Can we move? Yeah. This is a simple number that we can come to whenever. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah, okay. I think I'm done. Back to you, Amelia.
Yes, thanks a lot. So last questions from all of you in 1 minute, because we are a bit late. What is your call to governments, to donors, and to decision makers to further support your work in advancing agroecology? So I will start with you, Nicole.
So
Can't hear anything if speaker is speaking.
Me too.
do you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, now.
We have observed a sort of youth washing. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have observed a sort of youth washing. So nowadays, there are several initiatives in which youth is inserted in their agenda, but in many situations, it's more about creating a facade or showcasing inclusion instead of creating real possibilities. That's why we keep believing in the potential of young voices to be really game changer on the agroecological transition, because we believe that we can bring fresh perspectives and innovative solutions. So we are trying to work to ensure that those voices can be heard and respected, but to do so, we need collaboration from governments, funders. So our main goal is to help us to expand the agroecological systems by focusing on a participatory bottom-up approach or policies, and empowering young researchers, farmers, activists to best understand the current issues and apply contest-based horizontal solution. And in addition, and to conclude, we would like to be actually listened to and considered, and we ask institutions to avoid to just insert youth to tick a box in their agenda.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nicole. Edoardo, same question.
Thank you very much, Emily. So in a nutshell, I would like to reiterate what our first speaker, Judy Kipkenda, said. And it all comes down to recognizing, acknowledging the importance of agroecology, the role local communities play, but also young professionals play in advancing agroecology. And this is something YPARD has been advocating for. We've been doing. This is something that we worked on when contributing to the Global Youth Statement that was recently published by YPARD. YPARD is the youth mechanism for the UNFCCC. And this is also ultimately linked to one of the key challenges that youth face nowadays, which is the lack of funding to scale up and implement these agroecological practices. And one last thing that I would like to mention is that one of our country chapters, which is very, very active, YPARD Uganda, is also doing very practical initiatives and training workshops. So on the ground initiatives and work with farmers, with young professionals, and with local communities to increase raising awareness, increase knowledge, and also giving them the tools to advance this also through farm visits. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Edoardo. Maybe let's move to Karina. Same question. What is your call to governments, to donors, and to funders when it comes to advancing agroecology and youth?
Okay, sure. So at the same time, we are the biggest young generation in history. The farmers is getting older. So who will produce the food of tomorrow, the tomorrow's food? Robots? No. Young people need support to stay or to go to this profession, farmers and the other profession related to agroecology. We need to feel proud. I'm proud, but we need to pay our bills. We need this profession, this need to be attractive to the young people. We need support to grow the number of the young farmers, and they need to be happy at this profession. We need to be at the decision make space like here. I'm thankful to be here. And we have conditions to do that. We have conditions to contribute. It's about us too. And we need to subsidize young people to be in eco-social business, not only farmers, but beyond this. And we have no time to find the solution, and we need to act. It's urgent.
Thank you, Karina. Same question for Ngaakudzwe. What is your call to governments, policymakers, and donors in advancing agroecology and youth?
Focusing on capacity building funding for scaling projects and supporting innovation, we urge the government to recognize the critical role of youth in transforming agriculture by creating policies that support agroecology, providing young people with access to land, resources, and integrating sustainable farming practices into national development strategies. Empowering youth through these actions will help ensure Zimbabwe and other governments' food security, climate resilience, and sustainable economic growth. Thank you.
A lot. Same question to Deep.
Yeah. So Amelia, I would talk about, I'll point out 3 points here. The first is that the donors, the stakeholders, they need to understand that agriculture is not a magic pill. It's a game of patience and passion. You cannot sow the seed and expect it to flower the very next day. Similarly, with young people, I think young stakeholders need to show the patience, need to show the passion also. And also the second point is the stakeholders need to create a safe space for young people to engage in agroecology initiatives. Safe space in the sense it should not be young people should be allowed to experiment. Young people should be allowed to question. Young people should be allowed to engage with policymakers, with the practitioners, and more such policy conversations, such dialogue spaces should be created, more interactive sessions should be created. And thirdly, farming and farm entrepreneurship needs to be made cool job for young people to look forward to engage with. We need to have many more farm entrepreneurs around the globe, and they need to be showcased. Their stories need to be shared as wide and far possible. Thank you.
Thank you. So I see that we still have 10 minutes, so we can open the floor. Maybe if you have any questions in the room, but also online, you can use the chat function. And if you take the floor, if you can also mention your name and your organization, but also to whom you address your question. Yeah.
So, hi to everyone. I am Flavia Brogacci. I'm here with the Youth Ambassador Society, and I have completed two days ago my degree in policies and governance in Europe with a thesis on the challenges of young entrepreneurship in the European Union in the agricultural sector. And I would like to ask you, since agriculture is a very different sector, very various in terms of policy interventions and needs, what will you prioritize in order to increase the attractivity of the agricultural sector
considering that it is impossible to do all in once, what is the policy measure that you think will be more effective to promote young entrepreneurship in agriculture?
You want to do? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. I think I'm gonna go first. I don't think so that's a great question. I would say the policies, I would say mainly incentivize youth in several ways. We also mentioned key challenges, right? What are the main barriers that youth face, right? And of course, lack of funding is one of those, right? We have a lot of young farmers that are working on a local level and are implementing best practices, and something that could easily be scaled up, but they don't have the means to do that. So I would say that in my opinion, personally, I believe that could be one of a path that you could walk for sure. I don't know if anyone else wants to contribute.
Yeah, I think that Deep Online wants to answer
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah. So thanks for the question, and I completely agree with the speaker previously who just spoke. What I would also like to put in my thought is that there should be multiple spaces, innovative spaces created for young people to engage in. It is not always necessary for young people to be inside the farm to talk about agroecology. Young people can talk about agroecology even in the cafe, right? Even sitting inside the classroom, even walking through the market, even walking through while traveling on the bus or while traveling on a train or plane. So I think what is important is that if stakeholders can create such innovative spaces, like for example, at Farm to Food Foundation, young people talk about the local food system. Of course, they are from the rural background, so they have their hands in the field, in the farm as well. But they talk a lot more about food system because they in the school, in the colleges, in the canteen, they are consuming these food, and therefore the conversation around local food also comes into the being. So we need to be a little bit more innovative about how we want to engage with young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Deep. I think that Karina also wants to address this question.
Sure. So we need to look to the young people who don't want to leave the countryside or their family. We need to build with and for these people policies to give their condition to stay or to go to the farm to produce organic food. Because if we come with this policy ready, and we don't start to listen then and then create this policy, we will create the wrong policy. So we need to listen then what they need, what they want to stay at the farm, and then create policies. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have one question here.
Thank you so much. My name is Elizabeth Kawakoyo. I'm from Uganda. I'm an agroecology advocate. I'm participating as a World Food Forum Uganda representative, as well as I'm the chapter leader for Uganda World Food Forum. Currently, I'm pursuing my master's in agroecology at Uganda Matters University in Uganda. But also I'm learning a business in agroecology. I'm producing biofertilizers under Agro Solutions, as I'm a founder, as well as a team lead at in my organization. We have been talking about agroecological entrepreneurs. We really the best way to advance agroecological agroecology in my country, how we are doing it, where they are so much supporting the agroecological entrepreneurs, because really we have a question of can agroecology feed the world? This is something real matters a lot when you speak about agroecology. And my question goes to someone who has been talking, someone from farm to farm, who had a challenge about young people are not attracted to agroecology. How is he managing it to see that these young people are getting into agroecology, as me already in agroecology and benefiting as entrepreneur, agroecology entrepreneur? Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank
question.
you.
Yeah, Deep, do you want to go?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. That's a big question for not just for farm food, but for everyone. You know, how to create more excitement among young people towards agroecology. We are still grappling. I'm not saying that 100% we have found the solution, but what we have been able to do is when you give space for young people to experiment and create some excitement around it, young people automatically starts finding the values in it. Young people start finding the interest in it. And if you see a small spark, what we need to do is start nurturing those spark, and those spark one day will become a big, huge flame, which will light up the entire world. And so at Farm to Food, we have been, for the past 12 years, we have been working with uh, probably close to about 900 schools, and 900 into 200 times, so about 20,000 young people, more than that probably, young people. Not all of them are excited about agriculture, but yes, some of them are excited about agriculture, and young people are also then start influencing their peers. Yeah, so that also create another layer of engagement, interest area for young people. I think the simple solution is just give them the space to grow whatever they're possible to grow, bag farming, box farming, if they don't have the land. Just let them try, just let them experiment, and create that safe space for experimentation, and forget about failures. It's all right, to fail. What is not all right is not to try. So just that, we have been doing it.
Thank you, Deep. And I see online that we also have Ngaakudzwe who wants to address the question.
Okay, mainly the thing is, as they use, they need investment in terms of whatever they are doing, because even for advocating for all these activities, investment is really needed. That's also going as a call to the donors and the governments. They have to fund all these programs. In terms of the space, yeah, the space is really needed, a very friendly space, but that space also has to have a baseline research upon it. So as the youth, we're also encouraged to stick on the research on whatever we are doing. Also in terms of the content and digitizing everything and pushing for social media and so forth, that's going to help more. So the content we are going to give to the youth is also going to participate on how interesting agroecology is to be, how we can make it as entrepreneurship as possible. I think that's most of it, investment and the space. Yeah, and the policies from the governments is one of the greatest things. So if the policies are favorable, it will be exciting to get into it, but if they are not, I guess they are not. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Do you have one question? Okay. Yeah, please. And then we will close.
Hi, I'm Marie-Claire and I'm the community manager of Alnap's Agroecology farm. And the farm started actually because we identified there's a huge gap between academic education of agroecology and practice. And that's why the farm got started. And after graduating, asking myself if I want to continue with agroecology, it wasn't until the Agroecology forum that we went to where we all of a sudden got a lot of praise and like a safe space to express, and we experienced a support system from various different backgrounds. And we've been talking a lot in this room already about appreciation of farmers and young people actually not doing it because of lack of appreciation. And I guess this is less of a question rather than a praise actually for the spaces that are created, and just a big thanks. And we really need to support these networks for the future of young agroecologists.
Thanks a lot. I invite you yet to maybe ask your question after the event because we have to close. Thanks a lot. So yeah, on behalf of the co-organizer, I wanted to thanks all the panelists, but also the online participants, and also to thank the World Food Forum for this opportunity. It was a pleasure to have this space and to learn more about the youth-led organization and these activities. And it also highlighted the pivotal role of youth in transforming the food system towards agroecology and sustainability. So if you want to stay updated, I invite you to follow us on the different social media, but also websites. And the Agroecology Coalition and its member will be present in several upcoming key events. So next Friday at CFS, but also in the 3 upcoming COPs. So you can have a look on our website. And I also wanted to invite you, if we can move to the last slide, please, to a webinar that will launch the new publication that we are preparing on agroecology in action, stories from the ground. So this webinar will be on the 7th of November. If we can have the slide, please, from 2 to 3 p.m. And you are really welcome to join that one and to also learn a concrete example of implementing agroecology. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.